Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto 2 Blue Vortex discussion. Today, I want to pull up a chair and I want to talk to you guys about the biggest WTF moment from the last manga chapter, which is Himawari Uzumaki's hidden power finally being confirmed again. And as a quick clarification, this is not the chapter review. The chapter review's already gone up on the channel, and the best editor on the channel has handled the editing for that video. And that video is what I meant in the past when I said I'm using editors for specific videos, not these 10 to 25 minute videos like you see here that have my social media watermark clips on it, because those videos are ones that I edit. Stuff like the chapter reviews, that's done by the best editor on the channel. I want to throw that out to avoid confusion, because this is gonna have a Himawari thumbnail, so I don't want anyone confused. So with Himawari in this last chapter, we finally got confirmation that Himawari Uzumaki has a massive hidden power inside of her, and we have more concrete proof as to what it is, which is she has BIJUU chakra inside her body. If there were still people who doubted Damon when he stated that he sensed a massive hidden power inside of her, large enough that he fully expected her to not just dodge his full frontal attack, but by his own words, easily dodge it, we now know for certain that Damon was not saying that because he had a tingly feeling in his loins when he was around Himawari like people were joking, but instead he was 100% certain and correct in his belief that Himawari was stronger than Boruto, realized it despite Boruto telling him that this was not the case. When Juro pulled up into Konoha, he came because he swore up and down that he sensed Naruto's chakra inside of Konoha, and it was to the point he knew with absolute certainty that Naruto was here. It was a classic red herring meant to subvert expectations as readers, because we thought that what he meant when he sensed Naruto's chakra in the village, he was referring to Kawaki, the guy who sealed away Naruto and Hinata, and Kawaki is the one who's holding the key to getting to Naruto, so you would think that the chakra be connected in some kind of way. Damon's words warning Kawaki that people would come asking questions that the Shinju popped up saying take me to Naruto, it only added to the speculative fuel to the fire, and yet it was all done to subvert expectations so that this plot twist can hit us. The one Juro sensed this entire time, it was Himawari Uzumaki herself, and that is telling. The chakra Juro sense was supposed to be large enough he could sense it from another location, and Damon could sense it even though it was lying dormant inside of her the entire time. During the 3-year time skip, something changed in Himawari, and we knew it because she was learning to fight in combat, taking extensive training with Team 10, and she's been showing improvement, and basically she's the 4th member of that team at this point in the manga, because we see her always tagging alongside them in every chapter we've seen Team 10 in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. It's not official, but it might as well be. I bring that up because chakra is twofold when you look at how chakra levels are increased. You have physical training, which is meant to raise yang chakra, which is what she's been doing when she's training with Team 10, and mental training via meditation and studying and spiritual methods that raises yin chakra. All that training has raised something inside of her that has gotten Juro's attention, and it explains why she was able to sense Naruto's location despite him being in a whole nother dimension. As we look specifically at Himawari's hidden power and why it makes sense that Juro says that he senses BIJUU chakra inside of Himawari, I want to run through a few things that got brought up in the comment section about the Tensegan, or this potentially being a whole new tailed beast. For it to be the Tensegan, you would have to actually change the lore a bit, because the requirements to get that eye are for someone who is an Otsutsuki to have a pure Byakugan of a younger Hyuga clan main branch member transplanted into their eyes in order to awaken it. So in order for it to be a Tensegan, you would have to retcon it, which I don't think that that's going to be the case. And as for it being like an 11 tails or a new tail beast, I'm not too sure I want to go that route. At this point, it's not something you can rule out. I don't think that she's a new tail beast per se. I think that this is BIJUU chakra that has been assimilated into her body, and I'm gonna explain to you why. So the idea of her having a hidden special chakra, that makes all the sense in the world in my opinion, because Himawari has all the ingredients needed to be a monster. Just on her father's side, she has her grandmother's trait running through Naruto's genes, which is amongst the Uzumaki clan, Kushina possessed a rare type of chakra that made her stand out amongst all the members of the Uzumaki clan. Special enough that she was specifically brought to Konoha to be the next Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Kushina stood out even before the Nine-Tails was sealed inside of her. Kushina's chakra also possessed the strongest antimantine sealing chains in the entire clan, with even Kawaki Uzumaki's chains paling in comparison. Those same chains that destroyed Spyro Zetsu's statue. I know Orochimaru stated in the manga that it was like Kushina's, but when you look at what Kishimoto wrote in the 4th Naruto official data book, Kushina's chains by far absolutely gap in terms of strength. It's not even close. Then you get directly into Himawari's parents themselves, and this is the most important thing. Both of her parents were given temporary powers from the two sons of Kaguya. Naruto gained 6-pass power when Obito sealed the remaining BIJUU chakra inside of him, which gave him access to the same 6-pass power that Obito and Madara each possess as 10-Tails Jinchuriki. That's what you see with Flight, that's what you see with the Truth-Seeking Orbs, that's 6-pass power. Hagoromo gave Naruto a separate power called 6-pass Sage Mode. That is the amped up Sage Mode that does not have limitations on the amount of nature energy that you can draw in. Normally with normal Sage Mode, you can only draw in as much nature energy as you have chakra to balance it out. With 6-pass Sage Mode, it basically takes the limiters off. That is why you see no orange pigment rings beneath the eyebrows. With normal Sage Mode, you see the orange pigment. With BIJUU Sage Mode, you see that orange pigment. It is a complete mastery of all nature energy itself. That's why anytime you see toad slats and fox slits with no orange pigment rings beneath the eyebrows, that's 6-pass Sage. That's what Naruto used when he kicked the Truth-Seeking Orb away from Might Guy. QB Chakra, 6-pass power stacked on top of that afterwards, that's just an additional buff. Those powers, those are each for keeps, but the biggest boost that Naruto got, and the most important boost, was the 6-pass Yang Chakra Seal. That contained Hagoromo's chakra directly, and it allowed Naruto to heal Kakashi's eye without even knowing how he did it, and most importantly, on top of amping the other two powers that he got, it allowed him to trap Kaguya in that 6-pass Shibaku Tensei, on top of carrying the Byakugan genetics and having some of the strongest blood ties to Kaguya herself and the Otsutsuki clan, enough that it got to a point that Hamura's clan on the moon literally kept watch over the Hyuga clan according to the official Naruto the Last novelization. Hinata gained the temporary power from Hamura, and at the risk of pissing people off, when we factor in what was stated in the materials for Naruto the Last, including the movie novelization, Toneri getting the Tenseigan allowed him to reach Hamura's power, and that power at the time he awakened the Tenseigan was stated to be similar to Kaguya's on a very similar level. Hinata kept that chakra long enough to assist in destroying the Tenseigan energy vessel, but that brings me to the point. Chakra has been shown to be tricky, in particular when it comes to people retaining remnants of chakra. Remnants of chakra being left behind is not anything new in this franchise. We've seen it more than once, and all it takes is small embers to burn brightly into something larger over time. When you add in all those small things together and factor in that when Naruto and Hinata played the game of Hide the Nine-Tails, Double Palm 64 Vacuum Sucks on the night that Himawari was created, Naruto was someone who possessed the chakra of not just both halves of Kurama, but also the chakra of the other 8 BIJUU. There's something there for that to be explored. We've already seen that being the child of a Jinchuriki gives some features and effects on the body to the baby itself, but it's always been the women, and it made sense. The seed that fertilizes the egg that's inside of the body of a female Jinchuriki, it plays a big role in it. That seed basically grew for 9 whole months, and so it made sense that the chakra overlap. But what we've never seen is a male Jinchuriki impregnate someone, and that's what we saw here with Naruto. This is the first time you've ever seen it. It's never been a male Jinchuriki who's ever fathered a child before, and it makes sense that something, regardless as to how small or large, got passed on to the child of Naruto. Even if it's a genetic lottery and you flip the coin, whiskers, they're an identifying trait of Naruto's, but you know what they aren't an identifying trait of? They're not an identifying trait of the Uzumaki clan. And Minato sure as hell didn't have whiskers, yet we see whiskers on Naruto's kids. Just like we saw them with the Gold and Silver brothers who gained the Nine-Tails chakra via unnatural methods, whereas Mito and Kushina had the Nine-Tails sealed inside of their bodies well after they had already formed their bodies. Naruto and the Gold and Silver brothers, they are different in that case. Allow me to explain what I mean. The Nine-Tails chakra wasn't originally sealed into Naruto because he was literally forming inside of Kushina. It was pure chakra as his body was forming from nothing, from that seed into a literal human being. So it makes sense that there would be some crossing over because he was exposed to that chakra and it clearly altered him. Hence, he has the whiskers. Now, the Gold and Silver brothers, they didn't get whiskers until they tried to capture the Nine Tails and they ended up being eaten. And in order to survive, they feasted on the insides of the Nine Tails, which means they ingested its chakra into their body by eating its flesh. And the Nine Tails itself is pure chakra, so it gave them access to a small amount of it, as we saw when they were reanimated. It's not the biggest stretch to say that something transferred over more strongly to Himawari than Boruto when it came from getting something from Naruto. Whereas Boruto never naturally awakened his own Byakugan, we got told that he strongly inherited the ancient power that belonged to the Uzumaki in the anime and in the manga. And in the manga profile, we get told that he strongly inherited Uzumaki genetics. It wouldn't be crazy to say that Himawari didn't get some of the chakra that Naruto possessed as a pseudo Ten Tails Jinchuriki, and it's been dormant inside of her growing this entire time, particularly if she also in combination inherited Kushina's rare chakra. And when you factor in the Hyuga clan genetics, you got a bomb brewing in Himawari. It would also fall perfectly in line with what Kishimoto told us more than once, which is that Dragon Ball is a huge inspiration for him, particularly when it comes to drawing the manga, due to how the fights in Dragon Ball capture attack potency so well, because it was Kishimoto's desire to scale down the destructive capability of fights to bring down the fighting style back closer to part 1. And Kishimoto said himself he did not like assisting in drawing the fights in Naruto part 2. He prefers part 1. So that was a healthy compromise on Kishimoto and Ikimoto's part. So basically, instead of destroying a whole mountain wind attack like how you saw with Madara's Susanoo and BIJUU Damas and all the other stuff, instead you see people get hit with that same amount of force and contain the area damage. Then when you factor in what Kishimoto said when writing the Boruto movie script parts of that story, it took inspiration from Dragon Ball itself, a series that heavily influenced him in the first place. You can see some of the mirroring that's going on here. Himawari is in that Son Gohan position, and it makes a lot of sense when you look at it from a meta-analysis perspective. Gohan broke Raditz chamber due to Toriyama being previously famous for writing Dr. Slump, a super popular gag manga back in the 80s, which for reference, that would have been bigger than Toriko and it would have been bigger than Black Clover, and you can combine both of them together and Dr. Slump is bigger than both of them. The idea that he used a gag element of a child being super powerful is what initially a lot of people, when you go back and look at it, they wrote that off in Japan, until we kept getting more and more signs that people like Piccolo and Vegeta and Guru, they all kept saying that Gohan had a monster power inside of him that never was something that people truly realized. People had suspicions, but it wasn't fully confirmed. We're seeing the same thing here with Himawari. The moment that she awakened her Byakugan and she knocked out Naruto, when Hinata showed up in the one-shot for the day that Naruto became Hokage, she was immediately alarmed because Naruto had all of his chakra points shut down in one strike, which that is telling, given that you got the Hyuga clan doing a whole 64 strikes to shut down all the chakra points. And here you got a toddler that's able to do it with one hit and even affect Kurama to the point where Kurama was scared of her, literally breaking the panel, running away. You look at it and you say, oh, that's a gag moment. And we rightfully took it as a gag moment, except there are more signs being thrown there, like her grandfather in the anime demanding that Himawari be brought to him to be trained under the main branch the moment that the Byakugan activated, and Hanabi was basically pulling a Goku from Dragon Ball's manga when you look at what Hanabi was saying in the Parent and Child Day novel, which this scene was never adapted into the anime. Just as Goku, when he first pulls up into the Kame house with Gohan, after the time skip before Raditz shows up, he tells Roshi, I can sense a strong power inside of my son. It's enormous. I'm telling you it's enormous. But here's the thing, my wife, she won't let me train him. And at the center of the debate with Hinata and Hanabi, there was a right to train Boruto, because Hanabi's like, hey, Boruto's got more potential, he's not reaching. But also it was specifically Himawari, because Hanabi took the Goku stance here. She could sense it deep in her bones, deep in her guts, which is something Konohama would know nothing about. They knew that there was something that they were overlooking. Hanabi was dead serious about it. Then when you add in Damon, who at that point in the story was the strongest person in the verse, saying that Himawari excited him enough that he came out looking for the smoke. And now you have Jura implying the same thing by being alarmed when he sees the person that he's sensing is Himawari. There's something here that the narrative is cooking up, and it would also again further explain when you go back to those anime original episodes and Himawari, and we find out that all these kids, they're training their entire lives to get into the academy via the tryouts and etc. Himawari breezed through most of the test itself because it was all a game to her. She was starting out at a higher level. She didn't have some of the fundamentals, but that's a skill issue, not a power issue. I know that's not the sexiest thing to even bring up all this. I know the idea of getting chakra passed down makes a lot of people upset, but I say it makes a lot of sense when you go back to Kishimoto's original plans for Boruto, something that I don't think enough people talk about. And I've been screaming at the top of my lungs ever since I started discussing Naruto over on my first channel, which all those videos are now privated on KRYPTONIAN SAIYAN. But on that first channel, I kept saying, hey, Kishimoto drew this stuff for a reason. This is foreshadowing. You guys have heard me say and show the interview before, but Boruto the movie was meant to be drawn as a manga, but it got turned into a movie. When Shueisha greenlit the manga, we got the promotional material that showed everything coming up into the story several years later, except for one thing. We saw Sarda's Mangekyo's Sharingan design 8 years ago. We just saw it last year. We saw Mitsuki's Sage Mode design well before we saw it in the one-shot Mitsuki manga chapter. However, what we didn't see and haven't seen here ever since it's been shown is Boruto with a double Byakugan and a chakra mode, in particular a 9 tails chakra mode, which that should be something I use for the thumbnail version of this video. Probably be Himawari with a 9 tails chakra mode, or I might have her with the Tenseigan and Byakugan, or I might just have her with both Byakugan to stay as close as possible to what Kishimoto drew. I don't think it's crazy to say that plans have shifted, and instead of Boruto getting that power, we're now getting Himawari getting the power as well. This might be the meaning behind Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. Naruto's 2 children are the 2 vortexes, though I am curious to see how you guys feel about this. In the meantime, click here to watch the Boruto chapter review if you haven't already.